Today on Art Matters with Mr. Morris, we're hitting the books.
Da 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 da. Woo! Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Woo! Da 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 da. Art Matters with Mr. Morris.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I didn't even see you there. To understand an artist, we have to understand how their mind works. And the best way to find out how an artist's mind works is, well, look at their sketchbooks. You see, a sketchbook is a lot like a diary or a journal. It's recording all kinds of information, maybe not all written, maybe some is written, but it's recording a wealth of knowledge about that artist, about where they were in that moment, what they were thinking, where their skills were, where their skills weren't. It tells us all about the artists themselves. Sure, the artwork itself tells us a lot. The artwork tells us the same kinds of things, but the funny thing is that when I'm making artwork, I don't necessarily throw everything that I'm feeling here into that artwork as far as being open and being direct. But with sketchbooks, these tend to be more like a diary. These tend to be something that I'm okay with looking at, but I'm not okay with other people necessarily looking at them.
And don't just be thinking that sketchbooks were only made by people nowadays. They've been made for literally hundreds of years. The sketchbook that you're seeing right here belonged to Leonardo da Vinci. And I'm not just talking about some Ninja Turtle. I'm talking about this guy right here. Born in 1452 on April 15th, and yes, for those of you paying attention, that means he was an Aries, though I'm not sure if you like long walks on the beach or not. Da Vinci was this amazing artist who blended science and art together. He recognized that science and art are linked together. We know this because we have his sketchbooks, and we can see the drawings that he was doing and the notes he's recording and the ideas and plans and inventions that he made. In this image taken from another famous artist, Monet, from his sketchbook, you can see he has preliminary drawings meant to be used for reference for greater artworks that he was going to eventually create. Sketchbooks not only are a place for us to put our hopes and our dreams and our thoughts and our visions, but it's a place for us to refine our artwork and plan our artwork.
These are some of my sketchbooks that I've done over the years. These are all just chock solid with different drawings and ideas and dreams and wishes and plans and probably a couple of grocery lists also. Some of my oldest sketchbooks were just these cheap Walmart sketchbooks, and some of them tended to be a little bit more higher grade drawing paper. They're full of all kinds of wacky, strange drawings. Eventually I got a little bored and I started making metal covers for my sketchbooks just because I would take these out places and the cover would get wet and the sketchbook would start getting soggy, so I wanted to make them a little bit more durable. But this took a lot of time to hand weave on a metal cover, so I switched over to this a couple of years ago, where this is a hardboard, it's got metal, and my sketchbook can go right inside and actually gets riveted onto the inside of that cover. So it stays nice and safe. I can also use it as a weapon in case of man-eating pigeons. It's important for an artist to be able to have a safe place where they can express their ideas, where they can make their drawings and not necessarily have to share them with other people. It's important for our heart, it's important for our soul, it's important for our mind to have that freedom to be able to pull away from the world and just put our ideas into something that's physical in this world, but at the same time coming from somewhere not physical. Sketchbooks are, I think, the number one first go-to if you're experiencing any kind of artist block. That's the place to go to, is your sketchbook. Which leads me to my next statement, which is don't throw away your artwork, don't throw away your sketchbooks, don't tear pages out and wrinkle them up. Use them, use that paper, use the front, use the sides, use the back. I don't know if you can use the side of paper, but if you figure that out, let me know. All right, so what does this have to do with class? Well, this is the presentation of
the Sketchbook Assignment.
Yes, Sketchbook Assignment. And what the Sketchbook Assignment is it's going to be a series of prompts that I give to you. And when you get one of those prompts, you can go ahead and make that drawing, keep it in your sketchbook, and at different times in the year, I'm going to ask you to upload them as a Google Slides presentation so artist. I can see these drawings that you have made in your sketchbook that are based off of those prompts. I'm going to show you a couple examples of a finished drawing, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of an unfinished drawing.
A thumbnail sketch is just that. It is a sketch that is made to be very small, the size of your thumbnail, on up to about 2 by 1 inches or so. And thumbnail sketches are just meant to kind of plot out how an image is going to look as far as its composition, the way it's blocked in, the way that the major shapes play out in the image. A sketch is a more refined version of that thumbnail sketch. Sometimes a sketch just has to do with just getting an idea onto paper. It's not meant to be super refined. It's not meant to have a lot of detail, but it is meant to get an idea, to get the essence of a movement or a shape onto the paper. A lot of the time when we're learning to draw, we have trouble separating sketching from drawing and vice versa. Sometimes when we should be sketching and moving loose and lightly, we're too focused on getting the drawing done. And then later down the road, we end up getting so focused on doing the sketching that sometimes we don't always refine our work. One big telltale sign of something being a sketch instead of a drawing is it's not complete. It doesn't fill in the entire picture plane. It doesn't complete the image. In this image that you see here, I have a sketch, and the sketch does actually kind of show how the image is going to be blocked in. It's not quite a finished drawing by any means, but it was in decent enough shape that I was able to kind of grid it and kind of get a sense for what the major drawing based from it was going to be. Here's a drawing based from that prior sketch. And basically the idea behind a drawing is you're going to see that it fills the entire picture plane. It's more planned out than a sketch is. And you're going to see that at least 60% of the visible space is being used. It's being filled in with value, shape, texture, line. It's being filled in, and it's not just negative white space. In this example of a drawing, you can see that more of the image is kind of incomplete. There tends to be a little bit more of a white area, but I would still call this an actual drawing. Same thing goes with the next couple. You'll see in this case the entire image has been filled in. Although the background itself is blank, there's enough of subject matter in the foreground and in the middle ground that it kind of makes up for that difference in the positive and negative space. In this image, you can clearly see that our darker value has filled up a lot of it. It's blocked in more. Again, I would call this a more finished drawing, or you could go as far as to say it was a sketch that became a drawing. There really are two types of drawings when you're really getting down into things. One type is going to start off as just something fun. When I started this image, I wasn't really thinking of anything specific. I had a magazine clipping of an actor, and I was thinking about a moose, and just thought it would be a funny image to put together. I didn't really plan out the image. I just kind of started drawing it. And this is going to be the most typical kind of drawing that you see when it comes to people who are learning to just start up doing artwork or are just doing something laid back. Same thing goes here. I actually was just drawing a cat and moved on, and one day I just thought, well, you know what, instead of this just being a sketch of a cat, I want to draw in more into the image, maybe make a finished image, make a finished composition. One thing I do want to make clear, even though I'm really pushing the idea that a drawing should include value, I do want to point out that sketches can also contain value. In this image, I was blocking in a sketch that I was doing. I was kind of planning out a future drawing, and you can see how I was making differences in this image when it comes to value. I was going lighter and darker, kind of putting those shapes in and figuring out how I was going to arrange the overall image. The final image itself is made in pen and ink, and in this case you can even see how it relates to that original sketch, how I use the lights and darks and the shapes of that original sketch to kind of plot out how this image gets tied together, put together, and shown to you, the viewer. You'll notice how in this image there's not that much negative space. I have not excluded the idea that the background of the white paper is showing. It definitely is still showing. But I'm using the addition of the pen lines, the cross hatching, the stippling, the adding of value. I'm using all of those lines and patterns and shapes. I'm doing all of that in order to add to the image. I'm not just keeping the drawing just a couple quick lines. I'm making sure that with the drawing, I'm filling the picture plane. When you're doing a drawing, you should be filling the picture plane. You should be shading things in. You should be completing that image from top to bottom, side to side. If you're just starting out doing artwork, that's not always going to be easy. You're going to want to rush through things. You're going to want to get things done as quick as possible. But the key to learning to do drawing is to take your time. It's to add on extra parts. It's to play around with it, to experiment. No piece of artwork is perfect, and no matter how much planning you ever do, the artwork's not going to come out just like you had hoped, and that's okay. That's part of being an artist. That's part of making art, is accepting the mistakes that happen and turning those mistakes into strengths in the work instead of negatives.
So how many drawings? Well, I'm going to ask you to make 8 of them over the course of this course. And you'll be handing those in right near the end of the school year. Now here's the cool part. If you want to get bonus points for this class, you can complete additional sketchbook assignments. When I say additional, what I really mean there is that these aren't just something you whip together really quick. They're something you spent your time doing. And if you've spent your time doing that, of course I'm going to reward you bonus points for having done that. How many bonus points can you get? Well, to be honest, as many as you want. It just comes down to you taking the time to give me a full finished drawing that's thinking about whatever that prompt is. As far as the prompts go, you're going to see that there's a document attached to this video, and that document is going to be a long list of different sketchbook ideas I have acquired over the years from other artists, other art teachers, and various people. So I should be seeing value represented in every one of these drawings. You should be following the prompt, of course. And last, I'm going to ask you to use either graphite or pen and ink. In other words, can you use a ballpoint pen? Yes. Can you use a graphite pencil? Yes. Can you use a mechanical pencil? I don't recommend mechanical pencils because they tend to take way too long. They aren't really great at getting line variation and giving good sense of light and dark. Can you use a lead pointer? Yes. Can you use a fountain pen? Yes. Can you use a gel pen? Gel pens aren't really an ink pen, and the problem is you're going to be fighting with the pen more often than not instead of being able just to do your drawing itself. So get yourself a cheap Bic pen or one of those Huntington Bank pens. Get yourself some kind of basic pen or pencil, and that's what you're going to be using to fill out all of your drawings.
All right, in today's video, we talked about the function of sketchbooks, how artists use them, why they use them, and what they use them for. We also talked about the differences between sketches and drawings. We discussed how for this assignment you'll be doing 8 drawings over the course of the next 2 quarters. In other words, from now until the end of this course, you're making 8 drawings. We talked about how those drawings are from the prompt list that is attached to this assignment, and you can also find under class resources. And we also talked about how the drawings should fill the page from top to bottom, side to side. Most importantly, though, we talked about how the drawings should be fully shaded in. I should see value being used for all of these drawings, and I should be seeing it fill the entire picture. Last, we talked about how the drawings are going to be uploaded to a single slides presentation that will be attached to this assignment. So as soon as you get your first drawing done, you can upload it to the slides presentation, and you can submit that assignment once you've completed all of your 8 drawings, remembering that you can do extra drawings for extra credit, and you'll submit all of those at the end of this course.
All right, my artists, I cannot wait to see what you start to do in your sketchbooks. I cannot wait to see the drawings that you are going to be completing over the course of the year. When can you turn these in? Not until the end of the year. However, I might do some checkups at some point with those. My artists, I am proud of you. I'm proud of what you are starting to do with pulling out those sketchbooks and starting to get further away from the coursework, but more into what interests you and what you are interested in depicting in your sketchbook. Until next time, please remember, be kind to yourself and keep on making art. I'm Mr. Morris. Have a great day.